Hello, everyone. Welcome in. We're having a little bit of technical issues, but we should be starting up in just a few minutes. Let's see. Just bear with us for some technical issues. Alrighty, here we go. Hello, everyone. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Deborah. How's it going, everyone? Okay, let's see. I see that Joe has accepted, so now we're just waiting for him. Let's see. Hey, Sapir. Okay, let's see where our technical issues are continuing. It says that Joe is not able to join us. One moment. Let's try it again. All
Hey
right.
there, am I joining now?
Yeah, there we go. Hey, Joe,
Uh,
how
uh,
are you?
Good. Thanks for carving out time and setting this up. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. We are too. I was expecting a little bit of a technical delay,
Um,
so um, we were ready for that, and we're right on schedule. So, thank
awesome.
you so much for taking the time and being here to answer our questions. And over the past month or so, we have started this great partnership, and we've already started collaborating on so many things. So, I'm really excited to open this up to our community and just kind of give it a space to hear about you and your experience, and of course, give some room for maybe people to ask more questions as they join along. If not, of course, we've already gotten a list of questions that we've compiled over the past week, and I'm sure that your insight is going to be super valuable for those tuning in now and those who will watch later. So, you know, we have a lot of new pilots. There's always questions, whether they're in the drone industry for 1 year or 5 years. There's always new questions that come up, and basically we're so happy to have you here and just kind of give us your perspective. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Joe Burgett is a tenured professor at Clemson University. He has years of experience in the drone industry. He teaches undergraduate, graduate students, and industry professionals. I won't give up too much, and I'll give the floor over to you to kind of introduce yourself and give
Sure.
us a little bit about your background. Take it away.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you very much for hosting me and everyone that's out there. Appreciate you carving out some time. As you've all said, my name is Joe Burgett, and I am a professor at Clemson University, Science and Management Department. I wear another hat. I'm also the director of the Carolina Interagency Drone Users Consortium, which I think when I first started interacting as a Clemson, I am a licensed general contractor, so that's my background, which is why I'm in Science and Management Department. Faculty, you do different things. You teach, of course, but you also have a research and a service component, and service component is entirely on the applied drone technology side. And when I say applied, the opposite of that would be prototype anything. We take off-the-shelf technology that's a little leading edge and cutting edge and getting in the hands of contractors, surveyors, government agencies, and start leveraging this technology to support that group. And that really was the genesis of the Clemson drone program. I encourage you guys to take a look at our website, clemsondrone.com. We do a lot of different things. We have classes, which we'll talk about later on, but we also have weekly tech tips, which we send out to folks that subscribe to give them some pointers and things that I've learned in the past and mistakes I've made in the past, and hopefully can be a benefit to the community. And that's really one of the purposes of a land grant institution like Clemson, is to kind of service our region, our state, region, and nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been signing up for your newsletters and I enjoy getting them. So
I try to put a
awesome.
little Burgett humor in there, so I apologize in advance for that.
No, it's appreciated. Okay, yeah, awesome. So so I kind of wanted to jump right in and start asking a few questions. Basically kind of, you mentioned that you have this course and, you yourself are a pilot, but I want to get a deeper understanding, and I'm sure people tuning in as well, once you get this education, you're more, have more knowledge about what it means to be a drone pilot and how to use a drone. What are the next steps? What is the best place to begin? There, of course, education is important and everything, but what goes beyond it?
Yeah, so great question. All right, so a couple of things and some foundational things. All right, so there are, well, I guess where I'll start is when I'm talking with clients or government agencies or contractors and whatnot. The benefits of using drones is obvious. It's apparent to them. They see these models, they see these images, they see whatever deliverable it is, and they know their clients want it. They see the value. That's easy. But they don't know how to get started. And really the genesis of a lot of what we're doing is that there's no magic to what I'm doing. There are things, I hear questions like, don't you need a license? And what about air traffic control and insurance? And how about privacy? Those are all things. Those are all real things. But they're all real knowable things. You just need to be, to your point, just be educated on them. And in my perspective, there's kind of like four foundational things you need, all right, to be able to start using drones commercially. The first, and you kind of alluded to before, there is an exam or there is a license, a remote pilot certificate that you need. You might hear about it, called a Part 107, and it sounds scary, and it's not. It is a license, and you have to pass a knowledge test. It's a couple hours, and if you were to just walk into it, you would fail. So you do need some preparation for it. So there's tons of classes out there, online that you can do to prep you for it. So that's an essential part. So you do need to have that license, but don't be afraid of it. It is designed for people who don't have a background in aviation. So that's step one. Step two is you need to know how to actually do the stuff that the test tests you on. Like, I'll give you an example. In the exam, they'll ask you a question, they'll give you a sample chart, and they'll say, okay, hey, what airspace are you in? And again, that sounds scary if you haven't kind of gone through this airspace and all that. It shouldn't be. And that sounds all good. And you'll be able to take the test and you'll be able to say, oh, I'm in class, C airspace or whatever it happens to be. And that's all great for the exam. But your job site or your survey location or your crime scene or whatever it happens to be is not going to be on the test. You need to be able to use some kind of tool to find it. And the fortunate things are there's tons of tools available, free, and literally an app. You just plug it in and bam, you know where you're at, you know your airspace, and you can even get air traffic authorization. It's not hard, but it's not helpful if you don't know those tools exist. So kind of learning all those tools is important.
Well, I think that kind of goes back to what we're going back to, maybe the applied drone technology courses that you teach, is that there is so much information out there, but you also have to know kind of where to look and not to want to get involved in everything and kind of until you have a basis of understanding. And I'm wondering, in your courses, is this something that you also offer and you kind of give direction on maybe specific apps that you recommend or anything like that?
Yeah, okay, great question. So the Clemson drone course that we offer, all right, so the intent with this was I really try to put everything I know into an online class that's available to everybody, and it covers those four things. It gets you to Part 107, it preps you for all that, and all those tools that we were just talking about. We use AirMap so that we can show you how to do that and file your air traffic control authorization. Weather conditions are different on the ground. If you pull up your Apple phone and get weather, it's different on the ground than it is 400 feet in the air. So and again, there's all those tools that are available to show you, and they're not magic. They're just, it just kind of bringing all that stuff together. The other thing that the course offers that I think is pretty fundamental is flight skills. And the first question that, people ask is it an online course? And it is.
Hmm.
But and there is no substitute for actually taking a drone and getting it up in the air and practicing. But if you think about it, if you're trying to learn how to fly and you just got this brand new drone, you're going to go way up in the air and not fly near anything. And that's good and important, but you're not really learning everything. You need to be able to, it might be the only school that encourages crashing. You need to crash in order to know how close you can fly to things and gauge distance and being able to view things through the camera lens and gauge distance. So we use a simulator, and it's a great simulator that Clemson has an agreement with the software developers where people practice, students practice often, and they crash
Hmm.
often, and that data goes up to the cloud, and then I'm able to look into it and see how you're doing and provide encouragement and feedback and help and all that kind of good stuff. And then the last thing, number four, which I think is in what we offer in the course, as well as I think is critical for anyone who's just getting in this business,
Hmm.
is your drone needs to be more than a flying camera. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can use the drone and capture just great video and great images, and there's value to that, no doubt. But that's just like the little bit. Being able to take, for example, all those 2D images and put them in software and create a 3D model that's sub-inch accurate. Imagine from a contractor point of view, because again, that's my background, instead of once a month getting an aerial picture, which is kind of industry practice, like every week or even day, you send your owner a 3D model of what happened, a digital twin of their job. That's incredibly powerful. And they can spin it around, zoom in, look at the progress. It's incredibly powerful. So that's kind of the fourth thing. You got to be able to do something more than just take a picture. And it can be done. And it just needs to be shown how.
And I guess that kind of brings me to my next question too about, how do you network and kind of show your clients, what you're capable of doing, and especially, when there are a lot of drone operators today and a lot of different equipment that you can use, how do you stand out and kind of catch the eye of a potential client, or, make yourself of interest in the community or even maybe outside?
Yeah, so good question. And like any good question, the answer is always it depends, right? But if you're looking to start, right, and you're going to provide some kind of service, and at least just from being a drone operator, like you're a drone business and you want to provide a service to a vendor, what I encourage those folks to do is by giving away your product for free, at least the service part of it. And I'll give you an example of some guys that I know that got in this business. This wasn't their primary job, but they would go to a job site on Friday afternoon after lunch, and they would meet, knock on the trailer door, and talk to the superintendent and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be in the area on Sunday, doing this thing. Do you mind if I fly your job real quick? And I'll take some aerial pictures, and then on Monday morning, can I email them to you?" And the superintendent, no one's going to be out there. Sure, whatever. And then on Monday morning, they get an email that's got great images, but also a link that they can spin around their job. And, oh my goodness, this is a 3D. This is exactly my job like
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. And the superintendent will forward it to their project manager, and the project manager is like, wow. And they're thinking in their mind, advanced as-builds. They're thinking liability. They're thinking, logistics and all these safety improvements that all can be done. And they'll send that link to their client and say, "Hey, look, we just
Right.
got a digital twin of your job. Are you interested?" And that sets them apart. 90% of the other contractors are out there. So use cases there.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, I really think that once you've invested in, getting that education and you have all your ducks in a row and, you have your insurance in place, there shouldn't be any fear in putting yourself out there and really making a name for yourself. And that's a perfect example, I think, of somebody really going out there and doing that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the cost of getting into the game, I mean, again, it always depends, right, on what you want to do. But just kind of an entry level package, you might want to get a drone that's in a good drone, $2,500. A good comprehensive course, $1,500 that gets you licensed and all that kind of stuff. A good software package, if you want to do the 3D modeling, it would be $1,500 or so for like the year. Insurance is very reasonable. You can do it by the job, we're in the $10, $20. So, I mean, the barriers of entry are pretty low. And again, I keep going back to contractors, but, a a $10 million job, which is not that big, $300 for an afternoon's worth of work is nothing to those guys. It's nothing. So
Right.
there's ways of returning. The ROI on that's very easy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. I do see some questions coming in here, so I'm just gonna kind of start with this one.
Sure.
So we have somebody who received a gift, a Simmer X20 drone. He is a beginner and says the instructions are a little bit difficult to understand. Do you have any recommendations on maybe how to get started with this type of drone? Is this something?
Yeah, so I haven't flown that one a lot. I would start, my generic advice would be start in an open field. Do all your firmware updates first. You can do that at the house before you even leave. Do all your firmware updates, turn it on, make sure the camera is working, all that kind of good stuff. And then go to an open field where you know that you're in, not near an airport or anything like that, far away. A park or something like that's a good one. And then take it up and preferably over grass, because if it doesn't have a GPS lock or anything like that, depending upon the model, and it flips on you, grass is a lot more forgiving than asphalt. Start low, keep it 20 feet or so. You don't want to be too low to the ground, 20 feet or so. And then just practice some exercises. Go forward, back, left, right, and kind of learn your aircraft. And as you become more and more familiar with it, get a little bit more aggressive. Maybe that's the wrong word, but a little bit, pushing the envelope a little bit more.
Absolutely. So this next question I see here, this is definitely given the times that we're in and, the pandemic and everything. The question is, are in-person testing locations still open? Are they limited, or can you currently take the Part 107 course online? I'm not sure if this is also, something you're familiar with or.
No, I can hit that one. So as of right now, the testing sites are open. Now, early in the pandemic, they shut them down.
Right.
And the testing sites, they're third-party agencies, most of them, PSI being the biggest one, but a lot of other like flight schools or other places, community colleges will offer it. But they are open now. So far, they've done a great job of, doing the social distancing. The exam is computer-based, so after someone takes the test, they wipe everything down. But no, it's wide open. And the recurrent test, I don't know if you mentioned that, but that's a new thing. It's going away. There is no more recurrent test.
Yeah, I did see that people who were up for, their license when it expired, they did get an extension of about 6 months, I think, because of person testing. But yeah, I've heard that.
Well, right now that recurrent test is going away. As of March, there is no recurrent test. They are replacing that with FAA online training course, and there is no exam anymore, and it's free, which is great. And it'll cover 60-70% of what's on the initial test. So it's a great resource the FAA has put out.
Yeah, definitely. If ever there was a better time, maybe to, get out there. Well, Brett, thank you. You have great questions. He followed up on what we were just talking about, and basically he has a company with about 6 or 7 pilots, so he's looking for some recommendations. He wants to know, they all need their Part 107. Should one of us do more of the legwork first and figure out the best route for others?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one, I guess, because if you've got 6 or 7 pilots, they're all going to need to take the exam, right? So they all have to know that material and get tested. So I don't know if it would necessarily make sense for one person to do legwork on that. I think they all need to know that. And if there's 6 or 7 pilots, and when we say pilot, if they're the remote pilot in command, they need to be able to do everything. And maybe they don't all need to be able to create a 3D model, but they all need to be able to know what airspace they're in, or see if there's any kind of notice to airmen that they need to track, or being able to see what kind of weather that's out. So my default answer is going to be err on the side that everyone knows everything, and then be very selective of what I back out of what some people don't need to know.
Well, I'd like to answer that from an insurance perspective. One thing that we see often is that jobs change. You'll have a plan for Monday, get delayed on the spot, and then it's Tuesday. And, you know, if you're working for the same company and you kind of have that flexibility to switch your pilots, you know, one pilot can't make that day, and then you suddenly need this, you know, to send out another pilot, and your insurance policy covers your entire company, then you don't have to worry about making those changes internally. Your insurance will, you know, still cover you regardless of what day you make the operation. So I think in terms of insurance perspective, it's important to have all pilots able to do the job that needs to be done, and then kind of just play around with who does what when. I think that will save you like a lot of trouble later down the road.
That's right.
Yeah, so these questions are great. I just want to take a second to remind those like that are viewing in or joining now to feel free to comment any questions, and we'll answer them as we go along. I think an interesting you know, we kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I wanted to know in terms of, you know, what changes you've seen, especially with the rules and regulation changing all the time, and you know, now with remote ID and all that good stuff that's coming in, and COVID changing things and things getting shut down. You know, there's things that are changing left and right, and what's the best way to stay involved and to stay updated and to make sure that you're getting that reliable information always?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And what I would recommend folks do, and it doesn't have to be clemsondrone.com, but find 2 or 3 sources that are out there that are pretty well vetted, have a good reputation in the industry, and have a name, and follow them. Either be on social media or subscribe to their newsletter or whatnot. But let 2 or 3 of those groups kind of do the legwork. Because it does change a lot, and you know, this very likely is not anyone's full-time job. You know, there's only a select few of us that really put in those kind of hours. So let those resources out there kind of do their work and read through them. It's good to have 2 or 3 because there can be some different perspectives, but try to find ones that are again, reputable, and not necessarily put out the information the fastest, but really digest it and put it into a format that might be usable to you. Just like recently with these changes with the FAA, there's literally hundreds of pages that are published. No one's reading hundreds of pages. You know, it can be summarized, and even their executive summary can be, you know, there's the 80-20 rule where like 20% of that document covers about 80% of the people out there. So that would be, you know, that would be my encouragement, is just, you know, find 2 or 3 groups that are out there. And again, I mean, I'm biased to ours, you know, clemsondrone.com, but there are lots of great sources out there with great information that, you know, that we all follow. It's a good, the nice thing with the drone community, it's a good community with good people. And you know, being an academic, I'm involved in a lot of these organizations, and this community it seems like it's very willing to share. It's cordial, collegial, and it's good to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the drone community has a lot to gain from each other. So we want, you know, drones to be considered safe and friendly, and for people not to want to, you know, be anti-drones. And so the more that we're able to collaborate and put out good information and ensure that people are operating safely, we're in turn just helping one another. So definitely, there's a lot to learn from the drone community itself, and just to find, you know, put yourself out there and talk to people and find different groups. I mean, we have another question here that says, are there any support groups for hobby users like myself, not really interested in commercial use? Do you know?
Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. I want to comment on the one thing that you had mentioned before about, you know, one of the fears that I have is a drone user is going to do something bad, and it's going to tarnish, you know, everyone who's doing not the right thing. So that was one of the reasons that we put, you know, from a land grant value perspective or mission perspective, why we put the course together is to not do that, you know, to educate folks on what the rules actually are and how to do things responsibly, so the reputation of this community doesn't get tarnished. Right. But to your question there, so I'm more on the commercial side, and really my interest is for commercial drone use. So I have a long list of support groups, but AMA is probably the one, you know, the largest association for modelers and kind of the hobbyist type of drone applications. So I would definitely Google them, AMA, you know, drone model, something like that, and you'll find their website pretty quickly.
Awesome. I know that a lot of times on the social media forums that I've seen for commercial operators, a lot of times they're, a lot of those commercial operators also are hobbyists. So, you might want to also ask in those types of forums. There might be some more insight. So another question from Brad, this one is about insurance. So maybe I'll take this one, but it says, so insurance isn't for each person or drone, just per company. So again, this is dependent on, different people's needs. If there's a one-man show, then it's, for each person. But if it is a company, you can have the policy for your company, and it's a liability-based policy. So it's for your company. Of course, if you have multiple drones, you'll want to add them on to your policy, and then you'll list multiple drones. But the policy itself is liability based, and that means that your company and the pilots working for your company are the ones actually insured. And of course, all insurance questions can be redirected later.
I'm a poor person to field those. So
I did want to touch, I was thinking about this earlier. I know you mentioned, you might be the only person who recommends to crash the drone. And of course, from an insurance perspective, if there's going to be drones crashing, definitely they should be during training, and especially because, in the moment of truth, you're on a commercial job, or, and something happens that doesn't do well, I would assume for, the person that you're providing a service for. And in terms of insurance, you never know, what could happen. And if you're going to have any experience with a drone crash, I really hope that it's with a professional who's training.
Well, the lawyer hat I'm about ready to put on, there's all kinds of disclaimers that are coming to my mind right now, but simulated crashes, right? Controlled environments, right? All those kind of good things.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So the last thing that I really want to touch up on is really kind of learning more about how we can encourage people to get involved with applied drone technology. How's the best way to sign up, even if it's just for the newsletter, your contact details, of course. So any.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So Clemson. So the course itself, we have a couple different courses, right? So and they are applied drone technology, and the two courses that we offer have the same material, but it's through Clemson University. They're online courses, and they're as quote unquote comprehensive as I knew how to make them. I tried to put all of the experience that I've had, the years I've had doing this, into a course and share this the most effectively way I can. There's two versions of the class. One is self-paced, where you literally go to the website, clemsondrone.com. There's a link. You go to Clemson University's portal, you swipe a credit card, and you're instantly enrolled. And you've got access to the material for 10 weeks. I designed the class to really be done in 5 weeks, so you have kind of twice the time. In the class, you'll get prepped for your Part 107. There's hundreds of practice questions and all the material there to get you ready. There's all those tools that I told you about that takes the Part 107 knowledge into the real world, so you can do it. You get access to our flight simulator, and you'll get access to context capture, which is a professional 3D modeling software that professionals use across the country. There's lots of them out there, but that's one of the main ones, and you'll get experience with it. And there's assignments. It's an online college course that's available to professionals and tailored to them. All the assignments are graded by a human being, me. And I look at what you did, and you submit models and things, and I grade it. I provide feedback, and it's very well received. The other version of the class, same class, except for it's instructor led. We have online. It's still online and everything, but we have weekly calls. It's a lot more of a kind of an engaging experience between me and the students, and we cover a lot of things that aren't necessarily the curriculum, but just kind of like talking with the professor in the hall. We talk about a lot of stuff, and that's available too. So if you go to clemsondrone.com, the information is there. But I would also encourage you to subscribe, which just get on the newsletter, and we'll send you those tech tips out every week. Just to give you, feedback. There's no cost or anything like that. That's just the service of, that we like to provide, and keep you up to date on changes to the FAA and all that kind of good stuff.
Awesome. And then just to clarify, you don't have to be based in South Carolina or anything. Everyone is available.
Oh, yeah. Great. So Clemson University, you probably have heard of our football team. That tends to do well. So But yeah, we are based in South Carolina, but the class itself is agnostic of our state. It's Part 107 is a nationwide license, and all of the tools and things that we teach are not specific to our state. Applicable, of course, but not exclusive.
Right. Okay, awesome. And then when we'll be posting and we'll share a link to sign up and everything. So all of those tuning in, if you want more information, you'll be able to find it on our page as well.
Yeah, and there's a place for you to contact. It's a form, but it goes to my email address. So send me a note, and there's a real person on the other end. You're looking at them, so I'll be happy to respond back to any questions that you have, and if there's anything I can do to help, I'm here to.
Awesome. And that's super important, especially with all the new apps and technology that's available to us. We want everything done, super easily and quickly and fast, but having that human connection and that person behind the email, that's the most important thing.
That's true. If you send a note in at like 10 o'clock at night, you might get an email back at like 5 o'clock in the morning, but you're going to have to wait a little bit of time.
Yes. Well, working with you has been an absolute pleasure. And, I'm looking
Likewise.
All the things that we're going to be doing this year, whether it's trying new things like this Instagram Live, anything. So thanks so much for taking out the time. And if there's any more follow-up questions, we'll be shooting them your way, of course. And I think this has been super helpful. So maybe we'll also decide on another day to do it for those who are just joining in now. And we'll be posting, recording, and everything. So
yeah, perfect. Well, listen, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. I'd love to do more of these in the future, especially if there's like a specific topic or something that I can kind of bring to light or flesh out. It'd be my pleasure to do it.
Awesome. Well, we'll start brainstorming on those right away.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Well, you take care. Have a great rest of your week, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Bye-bye.